Again, this is Dr. Amarnath Kumar, and I teach at Karkarduma Ignu Center, Amar Jyoti Charitable Trust. I guess I have met many of you in the last class, and we are doing BEGAE 182, which is all about understanding communication. In the last class, we have discussed block 1. Today we are going to talk about block 2, and block 2 is all about formal and informal conversations or communication. So welcome to our channel of live learning session. Welcome to this channel where we are studying BEGAE 182. Now in block 2, basically, the different types of conversations, the different types of formal and informal communication have been taken up. So in this block, which is almost about 72 pages, I guess most of you are having the blocks. Even if you are not having the blocks, you can access the blocks from the internet, the e-material which is there. So let us see what are the different things which are there in this block BEGAE 182, block number 2. First of all, let us talk about formal and informal conversation. We all know that a formal conversation is very much planned. Not only it is planned, but the sentences which we use or the words which we use, they are used with lot of precision, lot of accuracy. Whenever we talk in any formal setup, you must have seen that you are using all words or sentences with lot of care and consideration. That means, I mean to say that you don't use any word casually. And suppose it is an interview or maybe a presentation, then you also ensure that the construction of the sentences is correct, so that there is clarity and there is a meaningful syntactical arrangement of the sentence. But I ask you a question, that when we have informal conversation, like in a gathering, in a social gathering, or maybe within the family, or maybe in a party, or in the playground, you will find that we are not syntactically correct in every sentence. We are not very much concerned about fulfilling the etiquette part of the conversation. And then you will see that many times when we speak in informal setup, then you will find that we often use words like hello or hi, yup, yeah, fine, thanks. For example, in Hindi, we often use kya hua and yaar and all those things, the slangs. What I mean to say, that in informal setup, in informal conversation, precision and accuracy are not much required. Secondly, you need not use syntactically correct sentences. This is the fundamental difference between conversation in a formal setup and in an informal setup. Anyway, I was going through the blog yesterday, and there I found that they have used the word feet in different kinds of phrases. And that was very interesting, which I found, and I thought that I must discuss with you people, because many times when you read the blog, you fail to notice such things. So here you have the slide, I hope you can see. And this I have picked from the from the block only. And these kind of, this phrasal verb can come in the exam also. So how the word, from the word feet, different kinds of expressions are made. So one is be back on one's feet. Be back on one's feet. That means once again you have found a grip, and that means the meaning is to become successful again. And then second one is find one's feet. The meaning is to have, to behave or to act with a certain independence, and also with a lot of confidence. Then the third one is put one's feet up. Now put one's feet up, this is very confusing, because many times we feel that what could be the meaning of this one. Well, to put one's feet up means where you are in a relaxed or in a resting pose. And then again, many times we see this expression fall on one's feet. Now, I when I was reading this, then I felt that to fall on one's feet, I will obviously, if you correlate this with our Hindi terminology, then it will have a different sense. But see, the amazing thing is that it has got a very different meaning altogether. To fall on one's feet means to have a piece of good luck after passing through a very rough period or a difficult period in life. And finally, have both feet on ground. The meaning is to be pragmatic and to be practical. So what I meant to say that with a single word, you can form different expressions, and all the different expressions which are formed, they have, they have contrasting meanings. And this is the beauty about this language. And well, we are not going to talk about phrasal verbs here, but well, I found this in your blog, and so I thought to discuss with you. Anyway, now coming to the next part, which is a very important part of this blog. And when I see the questions every year, then I find that you always get questions from this part, from this block. And what is that? Group discussions and meetings. I'll talk about meetings later on, but first of all, let us talk about group discussion. What do you understand by a group discussion? I mean, fine. See, the meaning of this term is, well, when we are discussing in a group. Oh wow, that kind of discussion in a group is, it is unsystematic, it is disordered, and moreover, there is no check on what one person is speaking. I am not talking about such group discussion. I am talking about a very well organized, formal group discussion. And let me tell you, Abhi, in the beginning, I had told you that we are talking about formal and informal conversation. Group discussion is a formal conversation. This is a very important thing to understand. But let us define this term. I guess many of you must be aware about this. It always happens in colleges, in organizations, in offices. Acha, in the TV also. I mean, I think recently the elections of 5 states have been concluded, and you must have, during the election time when the poll results are there, you must have seen that in almost all the news channels, you will find a lot of journalists and politicians. They are talking about the poll results. Well, what is that? That is a kind of group discussion. So I think that is a great example which you must have seen. And we have got the results last week of the election results of 5 states. So there also you can find. And similarly, when a cricket match goes on, then you will find experts who have come to a particular TV studio, and they have a discussion. That is also a group discussion. But let us define it. What is it? First of all, it is a means of interaction. And means of interaction where? I should be very clear that this means of interaction is within a fixed team. ये बहुत जरूरी है. Group discussion cannot happen between so many teams and different variety of people. No, it is an interaction within a team, or it may happen that there are two teams, but in the two teams also concrete groups have been formed. Now, what is the purpose? I'll come to the purpose later on, but let me tell you certain things. A group discussion gives you the measurement of your success as a manager. And this has become a very important tool, let me tell you, in many job interviews, in competitive examinations, because many times it happens that in a particular exam, you have suppose 500 students, and at the end of the day they have to shortlist 50. Now, what do they do? Because all of them have qualified in the written examination. So the best thing is that in case of those kind of professional jobs, which demand some kind of practicality and communication skill, they conduct group discussions, and there they get to see that side of the candidate which they are looking for. Because let me tell you that you may be theoretically very strong and sound, but when it comes to communication, when it comes to a speech, when it comes to your eloquency, when it comes to your presentation, then you may fall short. So therefore, I told you that this is a very important tool to shortlist the right candidates in a particular job or maybe for an interview. So, but then I must make it clear that it is not that group discussion is only taking place in case of job interviews. Group discussion is a very important, I would say, a means in even organizations. Many times you will find that organizations face certain situations. There may be the launch of a new product. There may be, certain competitor in the market, or there may be, the fall in sales of a particular product, or they may be discussing the attrition rate within the company. In that case, what happens? The top members of the organization, they sit together and they have a group discussion, so that they have all the views on that particular matter, and then according to the views, according to the opinions, they can take a concrete decision. What I mean to say that it is an important tool not only in academic setup, but it is also handy in organizations, in business organizations, in business setups, and administrative purposes. Fine. Now we will try to answer one question, that what does an employer or an interviewer look for? Suppose now we come to the academic, I mean the role of group discussion for academic purposes. ये भी क्वेश्चन है कि if you are conducting a group discussion, then what are you trying to find out? There are certain things which you are finding out. Oh, wow. Well, one thing is very clear, that a person can only speak if he has got knowledge and awareness about that topic. I gave you the example of, experts in sports, or, politicians. Well, they are having knowledge in that subject, and that's why they are called to the studio. So the first thing is that to check the knowledge and awareness about a particular topic. Second thing is the creative aptitude, how well you can present your ideas and what sort of presence of mind you have or you can have. For example, if I say something, I say that, I am not very much happy with this technological boom. Now, you must have not have been aware that I will speak this, but when I speak, then you have your creative side of your brain, and then you answer me, you reply me, or you may pose a different kind of point which counters my point. This is your creative aptitude. So, apart from knowledge and awareness, this side is the creative aptitude. The third very important thing which an interviewer or an employer looks when conducting a group discussion is that how strongly a particular person has the ability to work as a member of a team. Let me tell you that there are thousands of people who can work individually. इंडिविजुअली हम लोग सब काम कर सकते हैं, करना ही पड़ता है. We are human beings. We have to work individually, isn't it? You may cook food at your place alone. You may study alone. You may cut logs of wood alone. You may go for fishing alone. But when you work as a member of a team, how you work in a team, that is a very important thing. There are many people in this world who can work alone very efficiently. But if you put them in a team, they don't know what to do. And this is a very important thing. The question, well, I don't have so much time, but I'll just deliberate upon this. That what is the thing you do in a team? See, when you work in a team, there are so many things. The ability to tolerate, the ability to encourage, the ability to listen, the ability to help, the ability to lead, the ability to speak, the ability to guide, the ability to suggest, the ability to think for the team and not for yourself. ये सारी बातें होती हैं when you work in a team. Well, these were certain the things, and obviously, what else does he look is the conferencing skill. That means how well you can argue, how well you can put your point on these things. Now, the next slide is devoted to the purposes, the fulfillments of group discussion. एक group discussion अगर हम कराते हैं, if we conduct a group discussion, तो what are the purposes? There are so many purposes. The first and the most important purpose is that a group discussion, always किसी में भी तुम group discussion कराओ, suppose एक group discussion करते हैं हम लोग कि should we have advertisements or not, इस पे group discussion करते हैं. At the end of the group discussion, you will find that you will get so many ideas. Suppose I today have a topic that children should not be given smartphones. हमें बहुत अच्छी बात है, they should not be given. अब इस पे pros and cons होगा, there will be a group discussion and a lot of ideas you will get. So the first important thing is generation of ideas. The second thing, when you have ideas, then you have to summarize them. You can summarize them. The third point is that a group discussion or a person can get involved in a group discussion only when he has certain amount of skills and understanding in a particular area. If you are having this acumen, then only you can involve yourself in a group discussion. Otherwise, you cannot. Similarly, many times in a group discussion, it also happens that we take the precedences. Precedences means certain things which have happened earlier or certain ideas which have been presented earlier. So the next purpose of group discussion would be re-examination of the ideas which have been presented earlier. In an academic setup, a group discussion helps in reviewing a situation to determine the learning outcomes of a session. Another point is comparing and contrasting of theories, issues, and interpretation. What is the meaning of this? Let me tell you. Suppose I have a group discussion on economic policy of India. कि भाई current economic policy of India कैसा है? So when we talk about economic policy of India, well, we will be talking about GST, we will be talking about the current fiscal rate, we will be talking about our GDP. We will be talking about our forex reserves, all these things. And let me tell you that when you talk about all such topics, there will be a lot of theories, there will be a lot of interpretations involved within it. So when in a group discussion, the important purpose is to compare and contrast. Compare and contrast means see the points of commonality and see the points of difference. That is compare and contrast. And the last thing is any group discussion, let me tell you, doesn't remain on the theoretical platform. The purpose, the objective of a group discussion is to bring theory into practice. देखो अगर theory देखना है तो books are there, isn't it? There is no need to have discussion. But a group discussion always ensures that what is written in the books, what is written in the form of theory, it comes as a practical usage or it is implemented, and that is what we say that from theory to practice, this is what group discussion ensures. Now, many times you are asked a question. See, I told you in the beginning when I was talking about group discussions, I told you that group discussions may happen in an academic setup or group discussion may happen in an organization. चलो इसको थोड़ा सा हम लोग अभी डिफरेंशिएट करते हैं. So we are going to differentiate this group discussion as per the location into two parts. One is that the group discussion is happening in a classroom. Classroom means maybe in a university classroom, maybe in a college classroom, or the group discussion is happening in an organization. And the second is the group discussion is happening in an interview. I'll ask you a question. मैं एक क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहता हूँ. What is the basic difference in the group discussion which is happening in organization or classroom? मैं और बोल रहा हूँ. That means organization or classroom. That is part one. And part two is that group discussion happening in case of an interview setup. What would be the basic difference? Well, you must have thought the answer. But the answer is whether it is an organization or it is a classroom, the place is known to you. Okay? If it is an organization, then employees know each other. And if it is a classroom, the set of students know each other. But in an interview, the place is not known to you. You have come there for the first time. And secondly, the people with whom you are having the discussion, they are also not known to you. Because see, in an organization, if there is a group discussion, तो क्या होता है? You and your colleagues are there. You know your boss, you know your superior, you know your colleague, you know your peer, you know the secretary, you know the technical staff. So what I mean to say that the entire group of people is known to you, whether it is organization or whether it is a classroom. But when it happens in an interview, then what is happening? The place is new, the people are new, the context is new. You never know what is the discussion is all about. By interview mein, we don't know as to what would the discussion be about. But suppose you are working in an office and suppose the boss is telling you that we need to have a meeting on this. The competitor has come up with a lot of strategies in the market. भाई कुछ तो करना पड़ेगा, otherwise we cannot survive in the market. So you already know कि अच्छा there must be a meeting, there must be a kind of discussion where we have to think upon this matter. So more or less, what I mean to say that the topic is known to you there. This is yet another difference. See, When you read the block, then differences are there. But I should be very clear with you that if you understand, then you can also form differences. Now let us look at the differences as given in the block. So let us talk about ग्रुप डिस्कशन इन एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और क्लासरूम. मैंने पहले ही बोला है कि ग्रुप डिस्कशन इन एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और क्लासरूम इज व्हाट, इट इज अ नोन प्लेस, द सेटिंग इज नोन, द पीपल आर नोन, एंड यू आल्सो नो मोर और लेस अबाउट द टॉपिक. बट लेट अस सी व्हाट इज रिटन इन आवर ब्लॉक. तो अगर if the group discussion is happening in an organization or a classroom, the basic purpose is to initiate or generate thinking on a particular topic, like I told you about competitor strategies. And in every group discussion there is an observer. When it is happening in an organization or classroom, तो observer कौन होगा वहां पर? There must be somebody in the office only, there must be somebody of the organization only. So again, the observer is also a person who is known to you. And the different roles are already assigned. So maybe the boss, maybe the manager, maybe the supervisor, maybe the superintendent, maybe the general manager, gives the roles. Ki, "Arey bhai, you prepare the main points, or you record the meeting, or you reflect upon the behavior of the people." All these things are decided in advance. And I told you, the topic will always be something related to the organization. Now, obviously, अगर you are working in a bank, तो वहां पर तो टॉपिक ये नहीं होगा ना कि इस बार एमसीडी में कौन चुनाव लड़ेंगे. No, because obviously, if you are working in a bank, if it is a bank, then they will have a discussion related to the rate of interest, related to the number of customers, related to the competitor bank, or related to the FDs. All these things they will think about. Fine. And or ek baat hai, I told you already that since the members know each other, no introduction is required as such in the beginning. Now let us talk about group discussion in interviews. In an interview, the most important purpose, and that I think we all know, the most important purpose of a GD is to see which person or persons communicate well. कौन ऐसे व्यक्ति हैं, लोग हैं जिनका कम्युनिकेशन अच्छा है या अच्छा कर सकते हैं. And always in an interview panel there will be 3 people minimum, or 5 or 10 people sitting. They are the observers in an interview. Roles are never defined. And तब फिर एक क्वेश्चन आ जाता है कि if I go for an interview and if I have to face a GD, and this is for all you students, कल को if you go for a job, suppose, तो वहां पर definitely you have to appear for a GD. You will ask me the question कि sir, what will be our jobs there? I mean, how will you perform? How will we perform in a group discussion for a job? I'll tell you one thing. You decide your role as per your capacity, as per your potential, as per your capability. Suppose you are a very good, opinion maker, decision maker. So you become the leader. Take the initiative and become the leader. Suppose you are somebody, suppose you know yourself that, okay, I can summarize the ideas very well. Then take that lead and become the kind of moderator in the group. So what I mean to say, that as per your potential, you have to choose the roles yourselves in case of a group discussion in an interview. And let me tell you, बहुत interesting बातें होती हैं when you go for group discussion in interviews. There are certain people who they are very eager to prove themselves, even if they don't have the capability. What I mean to say that you have to be very proactive. Matlab, there may be a situation that you are a very good student, but you think that, okay, let me take time and then I'll decide my role. No, no, no. By that time, it will be too late. So you have to be proactive when you go for a GD in an interview. And yes, one more thing, since the people don't know each other, so in case of a GD in interview, it is an important thing that you introduce. So, for example, you say that, you know, I am, Anil Kumar, or you say, I am Dr. Amarnath, something like that. Myself करके कभी मत बोलना. ये बहुत ही, this is a very common mistake which I see in the students. People introduce myself Ravi, myself Ramesh, myself Sukriti. ये wrong है. You always start with I am. I am. When you talk over the phone, then you say, hello, this is. Fine. So this is a way. So these are basically the differences between the group discussions which are happening or which happen in an organizational setup and in an interview. Now the next point is that what are the most important things related to a group discussion? Students, I am telling you the slides which I prepared for this block of yours. I have taken the most important points, and if you have known these points which are there in my slides, then more or less the block is over. More or less. But let me tell you one more thing about this block. Block 1 was more theoretical. Lekin this block 2 is partly theoretical and partly you have writing sections. So in the exam, because we have to, not only we have to understand, but we have to also consider from our examination point of view. So I am telling you, sir, obviously understanding is important, but let me also tell you one more thing, that besides understanding, you have to make the habit of writing certain parts. For example, if I talk about writing in this blog, then they start with how to write. They give you a question generally, how to write informal conversations. Like they will ask you that suppose you meet your friend Deepak and then you write a conversation about the weather of Delhi. Fine. Or maybe they will ask you that an informal conversation I'm talking about. You go to a restaurant with your cousin and then you talk about what happens as you talk over the food. And there may be sorry, there may be formal conversation also. But whatever it is, the writing part is very important in this block. Secondly, I always see a question in the assignments because I check the assignments of this subject, and always they give you a question, write a group discussion. Very interesting, and in fact I am happy that I am reminded of this. Let me tell you the problem which happens in the assignments. The question is write a group discussion and people write an essay. The question is write a group discussion और people क्या करते हैं? They write a paragraph or they write 1.5 page and they think that they have written a group discussion. That is wrong. When they ask you to write a group discussion, then it is very important that there should be at least 5 people. You should either you give the names Ravi, Patil, Suresh, Seema, Sunita, whatever, Tina, or you write participant 1, participant 2, student 1, student 2, student 3. इस तरह करके you have to write the group discussion. A group discussion can never be without speakers, let me tell you. And if you write like that, you will get 0 in the exam. So please be careful. This is an important thing, because if you are writing in that manner, that means you have not understood the fundamental of this group discussion was. Anyway, so I was talking about essentials of group discussion. Ki group discussion mein essentials means the characteristics, basically, the features. Number 1 is there is one topic. You cannot have 10 topics in a group discussion. You are talking about soaps, you are talking about serials, you are talking about movies, you are talking about sports. No. There will be only one topic. And the members are supposed to express their views only and only on the topic. A very important thing in a group discussion is that since we all are human beings, we should have some etiquettes. So we must take turns to talk. Turns means you should wait for one person to complete, then you should ask. And let me tell you, if you don't do that, because I have seen in many group discussions, let me tell you, this is my experience. I have attended so many group discussions, even when I was a student. What I see that there are people who just want to speak. Somehow they want to speak. And they want to show that I am present here. Well, let me tell you, as a member of a group discussion, you can only be successful when you are a good listener. Unless and until I listen to your point, how can I present my views? And let me tell you that in a group discussion, you are not just speaking on your own, but you are talking to each other. You are responding to one another. And that will only happen when you listen to the other one. Therefore, you must take turns to speak, number one. Number two, you must listen to the other's views. Third, while in the discussion, you must talk to each other in a formal manner. And yes, there might be situations when you have to interact and respond. These are essential things. And let me tell you, don't panic. Because कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि group discussion में when the group discussion starts, then let me tell you, when the group discussion starts, then there are many people who start all of a sudden, and then you will feel कि people are speaking, I am not speaking anything. No, don't panic. Your time will come, your turn will come. Listen to people's views and then start speaking gradually, and then increase your pace, and then I'll tell you, you will dominate the scene. And who knows, I mean, you may become the leader, and that will show, that will prove your potential. Not only your potential, but also the observers will notice that this man, this person, this student has got all the etiquettes, and he has got all the knowledge and technical know-hows as to how present himself in a group discussion. Fine. So, and yeah, obviously you put forth your points in a group discussion. Now, the next thing which they have talked in your blog is that how can you succeed in a group discussion? Dekho, in your exam, two kinds of questions may come in group discussion. One, they may ask you theoretical questions on or your technical understanding, sorry, on group discussion, or they may ask you to write a group discussion, as I was telling you. You should be ready for both the conditions. Now, let us look into the rules for success. The most important rule is that you have the freedom to express yourself. And you also understand that all the participating members in this forum, they are all equal. And you should respect each other, you should respect one another. The second important thing for success is that whatever point you are presenting, that should be reasonable, logical. That should be based on fact and accuracy. कभी-कभी ऐसा होता है कि you may not know anything. You may not know how many people are dying of anemia in the country, और तुम ऐसे ही बोल देते हो 5 million मर रहे. Or you don't know what is the infant mortality rate of your country, और तुम कुछ भी बोल दे रहे हो. तो अगर if you present such facts and figures, तो obviously, because there will be knowledgeable people, they will bog you down, and one wrong point from your side, it will cost you a lot. So what I mean, logical, reasonable, true to your facts, and yes, whether or not you are presenting your facts systematically, one by one. These 2 points will ensure you success in your group discussion. Now, there are certain situations when people break these rules or breaching of rules, like interrupting the speaker. Hey, the speaker is speaking and you interrupt the speaker. No, 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 no. Just a minute. No, you don't know anything. These kind of things are not allowed. Shouting down people. Maybe you may not like certain views. It may be political. It may be related to some culture. It may be related to certain practice. You may not like that, but that doesn't mean that you should shout or even refusing to listen or not allowing a certain person to speak. These things are considered as breach of rules in a group discussion or GD. Acha, many times there are people who are very orthodox, they are very rigid on their views. That is also not acceptable in a group discussion. So here it is written dogmatic in one's own opinion. Dogmatic. Dogmatic means you are very rigid to your principles. You just don't want to accept any kind of opinion, other opinion than whatever you have thought. And it may also happen that you agree to a point without even listening or without even believing. That may happen under a threat, or maybe that may happen probably because of your lack of knowledge. So all these things are considered as breach of rules in a group discussion. Breach of rules means breaking the rules. Now, so we have discussed a lot about group discussion. Now, let me tell you, my dear students, that group discussion, debates, uh, dialogues, all these things are part of group communication skills. And whenever we talk about a group, we always think of a team. And let me tell you that whenever you have a group which is behaving like a team, then a group or a team has certain, you know, certain principles, certain requirements, certain expectations. And this is true for group communication skills also, because see, suppose we were talking about a group discussion, suppose we are talking about maybe a debate or something like that. Let me tell you that any group communication, any communication group, I would say, has got a purpose and it swims and sinks together. That means either you rise together or you fall. Not only that, just like any other group, a communication group also shares a task. That means you are supposed to do something, a goal, and the resources available to you are common. Therefore, it is very important to develop the feeling of oneness in the group. Oneness means consider your group as a single unit. And if you do that, then that will help you in a certain amount of positivity in whatever you do. No two people are same in the world, and therefore you need to learn to overcome the differences in communication style. I mean, for example, in our country, we have different ways of communicating, is it? For example, you will find a person from the north speaking in a different manner, and then you find a person from the south, he talks in a different manner. Well, if you go to suppose places in the south or places in the east, then yet again you will find a different. But you have to overcome those differences. You have to respect each other's communication style and technique. And the last thing is you have to acknowledge and respect differences in gender and culture. This is very important. Equality of gender we always talk of, isn't it? Gender equity, and also cultural tolerance, respect for each other's culture. These things are very important in group dynamics and in a group communication also. Anyway, we will try to sum up group communication by saying that there are certain things which are needed in group communication. Number one is your prior knowledge in that area. In any kind of group communication, you should incorporate prior knowledge. Prior knowledge means you should have done some amount of research, and questions should be asked in an open minded manner. See, there are many uh, reasons for asking question, and one of the most important reason for asking a question is to know something. But you will find that many times questions are asked to maybe bring the person down, or humiliate the person, or prove the person in front of everybody as the one who doesn't know anything in this regard. I find many of my students asking me questions. They know the answer, but they ask me because then they just want to see whether my teacher knows this or not. So in group communication, you should ensure that you ask the questions without any prejudice, without any blockage, in an open-minded manner. And the the discussion in a group is built up, or it is successful only when you accumulate all the points contributed by different members. Because let me tell you that if each person has been allowed to speak, then obviously there is a reason behind that, isn't it? And the reason is so that we get the ideas of all the people, and it leads to the overall contribution of the group. So therefore, it is very important in group communication that you build upon the different opinions and comments which have come from the group members, and that will lead to the productivity of the discussion as a whole. And the ideas also, the ideas which you are contributing in a group discussion, they should be constructive, not destructive. Constructive means so that you get something, you earn something, you gain something, you benefit out of it. Or if it is a business organization, then maybe it will when it is translated into actions, when it is implemented in the form of policies, then it gives you results. This is what we mean by volunteering the ideas in a constructive manner. Fine. And obviously, in any kind of discussion, we summarize the whole thing, and then we also identify. Many times we miss out certain points. Many times we miss out certain. For example, we are discussing about about a section of students in a school or in a college who are more interested in extracurricular activities, and they are not attending classes. Now, obviously, when we enter into such a discussion, the policy should not be to bash the students, the policy should not be to penalize the students, the policy should not be to punish the students. But we should also take care to see that involving yourself in extracurricular activities is not a bad thing. The only thing is that a fine balance has to be maintained between academics and extracurricular activities. I just give you an example that you have to take, you have to think, you have to take care, you have to consider these things also when you involve yourself in a group communication. Now, the most important thing, yet another, not the most important, yet another important thing is what kind of roles we have in a group. It might seem strange to you कि भाई roles क्या होता है. But let me tell you, in any kind of group communication, believe me, suppose you go in a park, you go to a park in the morning. I always visit, in the mornings. I often, at times, I mean, whenever get time, I visit the park nearest to my house, and then there I find that elderly people are, they are walking, or elderly people are sitting on benches, and you will find that small groups have been formed in different areas of the park, and people are discussing. Those groups may be formed by youngsters, or by old people, or by old women, और किसी भी ग्रुप के पास आप खड़े हो जाओ, देखना, इफ यू लिसन टू देम फॉर 5 minutes, तो तुम देखोगे कि आउट ऑफ द 5 people, suppose there are 5 people in the group, you will find that there are all the 5 people have got more or less different roles. Believe me, this is an example which I am sharing with you, and I think we all have experienced this. You will find that there will be one member who is taking the lead in the conversation, though he has not declared that I am the leader, but he is the leader. Similarly, you will find certain person who is listening to every point very carefully. So just like in informal conversation also, there are certain rules. Number one is the team leader or team captain. The job of the team captain is to ensure, to take the communication in the focused or in the right direction. The role of a recorder is to take down the important points. And then you will also find that there are certain people who ensure that every person gets a chance to speak, and when such a person is speaking, he or she is listened to. Fine. And then there is one person who is there to check into the direction, into the strategies, into the comments, into the dynamics, and how well the members have participated in the group communication. So, what I mean to say that in any group communication, you have different kinds of roles played by the same members, by the participants. The group may be of minimum, it should be of 3 people, नहीं तो फिर तो वो dialogue हो जाएगा. So minimum 3 people. Well, there are always more than 3 people. So let us consider 5, maybe 7, maybe 10, maybe 8, and you will find that in informal setup also they have different roles. Or formal में तो खैर you have to have, because at times it is defined, at times the roles are not defined, but they are there. So this is all about group communication, my dear students. We talked about group discussion. I will talk now about a very important thing, that is meeting. We all have heard about meeting right since our childhood, but we are talking about an organizational meeting at this point of time. We are not talking about informal meeting कि तुम रेलवे स्टेशन गए हो अपने दोस्त से मिलने. We are not talking about that. We are talking about meeting as a tool in an organization. And I guess all of us know what is that. But none of us have tried to understand it properly as to what is its role in an organization. एक क्वेश्चन आता है कि why do we conduct a meeting? Why? The answer is, number one, you get opinions. No person knows everything on this earth. No person is omnipotent. Number two, you are participating. You are allowing the participation of all your team members. Number three is explanations. एक मीटिंग करते हैं भाई कि आज एक this is a new product in the market, how it will work, we have to demonstrate. What is this is explanation. And let me tell you, a very important function of a meeting is to resolve conflicts. You work in an office, suppose, and you are not in talking terms with your colleague, and therefore you cannot work together. So then what happens? The boss has silently thought कि आज की मीटिंग में ये वाली बात को हम लोग रेज करेंगे कि भाई प्रदीप और सुमन में बातचीत नहीं होती है. So what is the boss doing? He is trying to settle the conflict in the meeting. So all these are different functions of a meeting: opinions, participation, explanation, resolution of conflict, discussion or communication of sensitive information. And obviously the most important thing is, what will be the most important generation of new ideas. चाहे वो ग्रुप कम्युनिकेशन हो, ग्रुप डिस्कशन हो, डिबेट हो, मीटिंग हो, generation of new ideas is very very important. Components of meeting हमें सबको पता है. There will be a chairperson, there will be a leader, there will be the head, and there will be the secretary. Then a very important thing is agenda. Agenda means the list of items which have to be discussed in the meeting, that is known as agenda. Then the process for taking decisions, and then discussion, and obviously the physical setup. Now the important thing is that how you prepare for a meeting. How you prepare? अरे तुम काम कर रहे हो, मीटिंग है, तुम ऐसे ही चले आए हो, तुम्हें पता ही नहीं कि किस बारे में डिस्कशन हो रहा है, बॉस तुमको वॉच कर रहा है कि एवरीबॉडी इज कंट्रीब्यूटिंग, चुपचाप बैठा हुआ है. A boss suddenly asks you कि यार you were handling this thing, जरा बताना फिगर्स क्या थे लास्ट मंथ के. ओ सर मेरे को पता ही नहीं था कि आज मीटिंग है. So whenever there is a meeting, you should prepare yourself. Number one, you should read the notice and you should know the purpose of the meeting. Number two, prepare materials and information which may be needed. कल मीटिंग है, I should see where is this file. मैं उस फाइल को लेके रखता हूं, कल मैं इस फाइल के पेपर्स में से प्रेजेंट करूंगा. List, prepare a list of questions. Prepare a list of questions which you want to ask, or maybe some points. All these things. We have 2 minutes left, students, and the final thing which I'll do is presentation. अभी हम क्या कर रहे हैं? This is a presentation. But anyway, this is a presentation for taking your class. When I am talking about a presentation, I am talking about a presentation in a professional setup. And presentation has become a very handy tool. कभी कभी मैं सोचता हूँ कि ये presentation कैसे हम लोगों को enable करता है. I think presentation दो चीज तो जरूर करता है. एक कि it allows you, it helps in increasing your concentration and focus. Or secondly, it is engaging your ears as well as your eyes. Visual and audio दोनों हो रहा presentation. Fine. And moreover, the things are illustrated. So a question comes in your exam about making a presentation, and when you make a presentation, you ensure that it has a beginning, it has a middle, and it has an ending. Beginning में क्या करोगे? Introduce yourself. You discuss what is the presentation about. थोड़ा सा एक outline दो, historical outline भी दे सकते हो, थोड़ा introduction दे सकते हो. The middle part is very important because here you have the basic points and facts. Here you use pointers, here you use signposting, here you use graphs, here you use visuals. And when you end your presentation, what you do? You summarize your ideas. Ending में नए ideas मत डाल देना. पता चला लो भाई ये तो बताया नहीं, he has not told in the body और अभी ending में कर रहा है. And invite conclusions and invite. Finally, I'll tell you, use these visual aids, vocabulary, knowledge, questions, and interact with your audience. So this is all about presentation. This is all about block 2. In next week, we will do block 3. So I hope you have understood the lecture. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.